I don't see us yet, so maybe we're not live. But I'm going to double check before we get going here officially. Although we're up, the camera is up right now, and it should
I
be
feel like we're live.
okay. If you feel it, we must be it. I think we are. I think we are live. Busy news day. That's an understatement in terms of what's been going on, but also the remarkable, incredible response by the mayor of Minneapolis. I don't know if you saw that. We'll get to that in a minute. But of course, the big news right now is that a woman described as a white woman, a middle-aged woman, gunned down by ICE officials, ICE agents in the streets of Minneapolis for doing very little. It seems like she was maybe driving away at the very most. We're going to show you the video. It's very graphic. We'll get your reaction across Minneapolis and also around America and the world in what is many people are comparing already to George Floyd. This is, it's the video and the circumstances under which this happened, with ICE deploying 2,000 ICE agents into Minneapolis in just the last couple of days. Kristi Noem calling it an act of domestic terrorism, not against the person who died, but against the ICE agents. That's what they're saying. They're a completely wholesale fabricated narrative where they're blaming the woman for attempting to ram the ICE agents, which is, show you the video, is complete nonsense, of course. But the whole thing is just so telling about this administration, about its connection with the truth, about its attempt to really repress Americans and to introduce a militarized state in our cities. As one woman is dead because of an ICE agent who's untrained to be in those city streets and shot and killed her.
Do you have the video?
I do. It's triggering. I got to warn you. It certainly caught me by surprise. In fact,
before we play it, let me just set the scene for everybody. So I was just doing a Substack live with Steve Schmidt when this happened, and I saw all of the notifications come on my phone. I've got notifications for specific outlets that I trust. One that I trusted said, ICE officer shoots Minneapolis woman in the face. And so I couldn't, dump out of my Substack live with Steve and waited until I got off. And it was the first thing I did was go and look at this video. Let me set the scene for you before we get to the Minneapolis mayor.
As soon as it happened, and
sorry,
we learned
I didn't mean that to happen.
I
don't know why that happened. Sorry, it just went.
I don't know. Before we get to the Minneapolis mayor, you're like, fuck you, Dean. I'm gonna start just playing clips. It was a suburban neighborhood in Minneapolis. A woman is in the car. She is a white woman, not Somali. The reason why there are 2,000 ICE and DHS agents in there, all predicated on a lie about fraud in daycares and Somali daycares, the Somali community, immigrants. This has been fanned like the Haitian dog goose eating story, to the point where Donald Trump has the justification in his fucking diseased dictatorial mind that he has the right to be able to send 2,000 people in there because a 23-year-old fucking loser Mormon blogger named Nick Shirley lied and created false videos about Somalis stealing Americans' money. And so what he did was he sent 2,000 ICE and DHS agents into Minneapolis. They got there 2 days ago. They've been going door to door, scaring the shit out of people in Minneapolis, not just Somalis, but people from, and again, predicated on a fucking lie by the Trump regime. And I'm fucking angry today. And I'll tell you why I'm angry. We're going to watch this together. And I'll tell you why I'm angry, because this is a kakistocracy, an idiocracy of individuals that Donald Trump has co-opted, racists, violent dickheads, violent maggots, violent QAnon assholes that are now walking around the United States of America, shooting mothers in the fucking face for not obeying their orders. This is a white woman. She was encouraged to leave by another ICE officer. That's when the fucking shots fly. You can see this. This is one of the most disturbed, and you have to watch it. Do not fucking look away. I need you to, everybody that's watching this right now, I need you to send this to everybody. I need you to hit those hearts so it gets to the top of the algorithm. I need you to share with that little box and that arrow. We're going to play this video for you, waiting for more people to come in. This happened 3 hours ago, Minneapolis suburb. Watch this video, Zev. You've got it queued up.
Got it. I will say that this is very triggering for people who are, emotionally impacted by these kinds of videos. It's a violent attack on somebody. It could really disturb you. It certainly did me. But we're going to play it for you. So If you are affected by these things, turn away right now. It's short. Here's the video of what happened today in Minneapolis. The Department of Homeland Security wants you to believe that that car was trying to ram the ICE officials that were agents, call them what you will, thugs is probably the better term. She was obviously not. She was at a standstill. I have no idea what she was being told by the one policeman that approached the car, but that second person who tried to aggressively open the car door in the way that he did, that does not seem to me like protocol at all. And there's a lot of investigation and all the usual mitigation that needs to happen. But this is remarkable. And here we're just seeing live pictures out of Minnesota. I think this is as people are waiting for Governor Walz to deliver his address about today's situation. You can see that these are ICE officials that are, I think they're leaving town and they're being pelted by all sorts of things. This is what the mayor has been very concerned about. The mayor, Fry, who came on earlier on, told ICE in no uncertain terms that they should get the fuck out of Minneapolis, using that exact language. He also encouraged unity because he said that this administration, the Trump administration, was busy trying to create chaos, that the whole reason behind the deployment of ICE officials in Minneapolis was designed to be provocative, designed to start the kind of violent uprising that they could then send even more officials into Minneapolis in order to quell this kind of violence. This has been the game plan all along for this administration. This is why the ICE agents have been deployed in most of these cities in order to try and provoke something violent. Well, today they got their wish. They got a provocative event. But the mayor and everybody else knows exactly what this administration is up to. This is intended to do harm to the city, to create chaos. And the mayor was quite outspoken today in suggesting that everyone needs to get together in a form of unity around what's happening and not do the president's work for him. As we look at these other pictures from closer on the ground here, the same. These are, I think, the ICE van leaving town or leaving the scene. It was a remarkable scene. You know, I also know there was a doctor who attempted to approach the car after the shooting and was turned away. He was told by ICE officials not to approach the woman who was bleeding. And this is an unconfirmed report, but I've heard it of several people. And there's a photograph of someone on the ground being subdued. So I'm assuming it's the doctor. They were waiting for the paramedics to come in and do what they needed to do in order to try and revive this woman that was shot in cold blood by an ICE agent on Minneapolis' street, just barely 3 hours ago. You cannot imagine a more fraught scene. They've had 2 days of buildup in Minneapolis where there have been thousands of ICE agents going from street to street, from workplace to workplace, looking for, Somali immigrants particularly. They've been mobilized, I guess, in relation to this fraud scheme that has been pinned on Somali people in Minneapolis.
Based on a lie.
It feels like it's unsubstantiated. We don't know for sure. It might, who knows? But it feels
like
it
is. This has been going on for 8 years. People have been indicted and charged, and they're in jail. It was a white woman who was in charge of it, 47-year-old. And they're literally running back the Haitian dog. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats bullshit. And this has ended up with 2,000 trigger-happy fucking losers, Proud Boys, assholes, fucking pricks, Trump sycophants, going into Minneapolis and shooting a woman in the face who was told by an ICE agent to drive away. The other ICE agent shot her in the face, and now Kristi Noem and Trump's Department of Justice are literally trying to tell you that the woman was responsible. She tried to ram another ICE officer, tried to run someone over. I'm going to take you back to Chicago 3 fucking months ago
Mhm.
when another woman was shot 6 times by an ICE agent. And we get the video after the fact. They run her off the road, shoot her 6 times, and take off. The excuse Kristi Noem delivered, she tried to ram an ICE officer's vehicle. It is fucking time, America. They are killing you. They are killing your neighbors. They are shooting you in the head. They are lying about your actions and why they have to do this. They are ginning you up. They are creating violence where there doesn't need to be any. And they literally shot a mother trying to get her kids to school in the face today in Minneapolis after telling her to leave. What is that? I'll tell you what that is. That is state sponsored fucking murder
Mhm.
of America's own fucking citizens. Do you get me?
And it's the playbook of autocratic leaders around the world. This is what they do. They provoke events so they can appear strong and come in and command the situation. In this case, this was a completely fabricated lie that Kristi Noem said. And I'm going to play you the clip that I mean, I almost needs a giant warning. Everything she's about to say here in this clip is a complete lie. But can you believe that she went out there this morning, dressed the way she is, and in front of the American flag as an American official, and delivered this lie?
They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism.
It's cut off at the end there, but she
Dude,
talked about domestic acts of terrorism.
so the lie, it wasn't even, dude, it wasn't, she called it an act of terrorism? Is that what she called it?
An act of
What a
domestic
fucking
terrorism.
bitch.
She's saying that the citizen who was gunned down by the ICE agents, was attempting to ram the ICE agents when she wasn't even moving. And she says that is an act of domestic terrorism. Now, that cannot be anything further from the truth, but the fact that this woman is in charge of this massive ICE force of goons and thugs who are not trained for these situations, who are present in our American cities, arresting people day in and day out for being un-American is the only way you can describe it. And now they've cost a life. And, it's not only this life. Remember, there were 2 National Guardsmen who were gunned down in Washington, D.C. This is beyond reproach at this point. I wanted to play you a little bit of what the mayor said, just a short clip where he says, "Get the fuck out," because this is the sentiment mayors across the country have and American people have in these major cities.
There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. There's little I can say.
Get the fuck out of Minneapolis. That is the message that is being carried by the mayor of Minneapolis, who completely debunked what the Homeland Security Secretary there said, and said what it was a cold-blooded murder by ICE agents of this woman. Really a horrific set of events as you see people gathering in the streets of Minneapolis right now, peacefully so far, and we'll await Governor Walz, who will address his state. He yesterday or the day before announced that he's no longer going to be running for re-election, but he's going to be listened to very carefully by the people of Minnesota in the next few hours.
If you're just joining us, we have what can only be described as another George Floyd moment.
Mm-hmm.
We have a mother of, I think, 2, from what I understand. It could be 2 or 3. Trying to drive her kids to school this morning in a suburb of Minneapolis, gets pulled over by ICE officers, told to stop. She stops. We just watched the video. She then is told by 3 ICE agents, 3 approach the car in the video, if you watch it, to leave. One ICE agent takes out his gun, shoots her in the head, actually in the face in cold blood, 3 or 4 times. She's now dead. They attacked and I believe arrested a doctor trying to help her after. And then after the whole thing happened, the guy that shot her quickly made his way into a van and then they took off. And all the ICE agents that were there also did the same thing, just kind of abandoned the scene. And then Kristi Noem, when asked about it this morning, called the woman who was shot for no fucking reason whatsoever in the head and murdered by her ICE agent, a domestic terrorist who tried to run over the police officers as their car was in the fucking snow. Pathological, categorical, easily provable fucking lie. What I cannot get over with this regime is, even in the face of video fucking proof, even in the face of 500 accounts with 300 different fucking cell phones that recorded this in broad daylight in 4 fucking K, where we can clearly see. Can you play the video?
Yep,
Where we can clearly see, and folks, trigger warning, where you can clearly see these officers walk up to her car, try to have a conversation with her, tell her that she can leave. They're like, okay, I'm leaving. Fuck you, I'm leaving. Takes out his gun, shoots her in the head 1, 2, 3, 4 times. She then crashes her car, bleeds to death in the cold Minnesota snow. Because Donald Trump has endowed these domestic terrorists cosplaying in fucking law enforcement outfits, endowed them with the ability to murder Americans, and this is just the fucking beginning. Watching Kristi Noem explain this away and blame the poor innocent woman that was shot in the face 4 times by a jumped up, hillbilly, fucked up, asshole ICE agent who took the 50 grand so he could do exactly what he fucking did in that video. He's probably always wanted to shoot people. It's a fucking MO of everybody in the DHS and ICE who's taken that money. They can't read, they can't write, they can't run a fucking mile. What they can do is shoot people, and it's their fucking wet dream to murder Americans. It's their wettest dream to murder people of color. That is a fucking standard in ICE. That is a fucking standard with these guys.
Yeah, it is. And, to think that this has been a situation set up by the president. I mean, he is the one who amplified the investigation in this so-called fraud in Minneapolis. Then he sends in these 2,000 ICE agents who are not welcomed by anybody, and they start aggressively pursuing what they say are illegal immigrants, but in many cases, very legal immigrants, from door to door, from business to business, in a very thriving Somali community over there that have been contributing to the well-being and the funding of the state of Minneapolis, of Minnesota. And they are, the president himself did this. The president sent everyone in there to harass the community.
Predicated on fantasy. Yeah. Predicated on a lie that these Somali fraudsters were running around operating free daycares and taking government money. Predicated on his hatred of Ilhan Omar. Predicated on his hatred of Tampon Tim. Calls him Tampon Tim. Put out a tweet yesterday. Tampon Tim is not running for Congress. He's not going to win. Tampon Tim. This is from an official fucking government account. The vitriol, the stochastic nature of this murder is plainly and fucking fully at the feet of one Donald J. Trump. He co-signed this murder. He is probably really fucking happy to have these visuals. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody that gets shot by these pricks. Doesn't care at all. All he cares about is that people start getting shot. All he cares about is showing fear, his culture in the United States of America. All he cares about is Kristi Noem standing up there cosplaying as someone who's trying to protect the United States of America, inventing a lie that protects him and his regime. And that lie is so fucking, and I go back to this all the time. It's, the insult to intelligence and the insult to humanity, and the insult to any American, any Canadian, any North American that watches that video is, it was her fault and she's a domestic terrorist. Well, Donald Trump has labeled everybody he doesn't like a fucking domestic terrorist. So guess fucking what? You're next.
Mhm.
He doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit. He is a fucking dictator who puts no value on any human life other than his fucking own. He doesn't give a shit who gets shot. He's happy. He's probably sitting there drinking fucking Diet Coke going, good, you shot a bitch. Probably. It's
He
probably
needs
what
this.
he's saying.
He
And
wants
here's the
this.
fucking, well, dude, he gets off on this.
Yeah, but
He
he
gets
wants
off
to
on this.
control the cities. He wants to pour in the military into the cities. He wants to make sure everyone is too scared to go outside in the streets of liberal cities because he knows that there will be protests throughout the spring and the summer against his illegitimate and criminal rule. I mean, this guy is committing crimes while in office. He committed crimes when he was last in office. He is consistently breaking the law and covering up for everything from January the 6th to the Epstein files. You name it. He is a law-breaking, illegitimate president who is busy manufacturing narratives, as we saw Kristi Noem do there, in order to lie to the American people and cover up his own criminal activity. And of course, he's going to come for every American citizen. This is just the beginning. They're building up a brutal ICE force, the kind we've seen in other dictatorial regimes, whether it's the Stalin regime or Hitler's regime or Mussolini's regime. This is what they do. Textbook deployment of these thugs into cities to terrorize people and manufacture evidence around them in order to weed out any opposition, anyone who would go out into the streets or confront them. And this is happening in America. This is happening in the home of liberty and equality. And it's unbelievable to behold that this is happening in our streets in a city like Minneapolis, where it's a great city, which in the cold north of America is still a very liberal city, and has done a remarkable job of maintaining these communities and growing these communities and turning the Somali community into a thriving community in Minnesota. So to see them, being singled out in this way, and of course what he's done now is he stopped all the welfare funds for going to 5 other American blue states.
Yeah.
So there'll be more of this. More unrest as people aren't getting their welfare checks. More unrest as ICE agents are pouring into these cities in order to remove them from the city. The idea is to create chaos as an excuse to bring in the police and the ICE agents in order to suppress people and maintain a dictatorial hold across all American cities.
And they're all pussies, right? Cruelty is weakness. All cruelty is weakness. Just read a quick tweet that immediately after the shooting, ICE agents, quote, fled the scene.
Yeah.
Of course, they fucking fled the scene, stood around shooting the shit, and then they fled the scene, standing there going,
But they're also
My
told to
question
leave
is
as
why
well.
what's that?
They were told to leave. The mayor said that that's the first priority that they had, was to get them off the scene. And they should have, he may have misspoken in the way he said it, because obviously they should have arrested these people. But he just wanted them out to calm down the situation. That'll be what they say. They also did leave the scene. We're not sure why. But any federal law enforcement agent knows not to leave the scene of a crime. I mean, but these aren't real law.
Yeah, of course. But these are federal law enforcement agents that only have fealty and swore an oath to Donald Trump, not the Constitution, the city, or the people of the United States of America. So very fucking different. This is the pussy police force. This is MEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
This is every racist and every fucking wannabe cop that failed his cop test, ended up being a fucking security guard, ended up, being a doorman at a bar, got a second chance. And that is why we have this, is that Donald Trump is empowered the worst of humanity in the United States of America to shoot his own, to go after migrants, go after Americans, go after anybody else. A lot of people in the chat are asking, the race of this woman. May surprise you, she was not Somali. She was white.
Yeah.
And why that is going to be very interesting is because Donald Trump and the Trump regime and white America love nothing more. They love fucking nothing more than talking about the death of white women, than talking about who did it. And it was migrants' fault. And we got to get all these. Well, a fucking hillbilly white American just shot another white American woman in the fucking face. Now, as sad as the Chicago shooting was, and as equally as abhorrent as that was, that woman lived. This woman died.
Yeah.
you're going to see some very angry people going, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. And this is what really makes me sick about the undertones and the underpinnings of racist America, is that this will matter more because the woman is white. Just a fact. Think I lost Ev. Did I lose Ev? I think I lost Ev. Regardless, that happened today in the United States of America. While your economy is crashing, while your president is threatening Canada, Greenland, Cuba, Panama, Mexico, Colombia, while he is kidnapping world leaders from South American countries, he is sanctioning the murder of American citizens in Minneapolis and lying about the murder of American citizens in Minneapolis. That wouldn't have happened had Donald Trump not sent 2,000 fucking jumped up loser hillbilly ICE agents into Minneapolis to arrest and detain as many black people, as many Somalis as humanly fucking possible, to put a scare into the people of Minneapolis, which is a very, very liberal city.
It's kind of
On the auspices, literally using Nick Shirley, some fucking Mormon incel that lied, going around to daycares which were fucking closed when he went around, saying that, oh, there's no kids in these daycares, you're stealing all of our money. They wouldn't let him in the daycare because he's a fucking white guy with a camera standing there with another old guy. Neither of them had kids in the fucking daycare. None of them. And it was all borne out to be a complete fucking lie, a complete cock-up.
This is all this president does. It's all he does is he lies. I mean, we saw it just the other day in Venezuela. You know, we know now what that whole deal was about. We know that it's just a scheme he's cooked up. Look, I've just put out he's got a Truth Social here. I've just viewed the clip of the events which took place in Minneapolis. It's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator. The woman screaming was an onlooker. And the woman driving the car was a very disorderly, obstructing and resisting.
She was in her fucking car.
You've got surrounded by agents and police officers, and she's obstructing and resisting.
So even if she's obstructing and resisting, Zev, you don't shoot her in the fucking face.
Of course not. That's
4
not
times.
what you do. Lots of people wouldn't get out of the car in that situation because they're fearful for their fucking lives. I mean,
can you read the whole thing? Can you read the whole Truth Social post?
It just showed up on one of the feeds here, so I have to pull it up myself. So I'll have to find it in a few seconds here, but I don't have the whole thing, unfortunately. That's all I could catch of it, but it won't take me long. But you know, this woman is surrounded by law enforcement officials with guns, ready to be pulled on her. Of course, she's not going to get out of her car. Why would she get out of a car in the middle of a protest scene? Why should she even be asked to? Okay, good.
Well, she shouldn't. Anytime, like, these are not fucking legitimate law enforcement officers anyway. She's trying to she just dropped her kid off at school. These fucking cops approach her car. She's a white woman. Apparently, she was one of those legal observers. I'm just reading this now. Who was like, you guys are disgusting. So the cop shot her in the fucking face. Now, I've got the clip. I've actually got the actual Trump Truth Social tweet in reference to this.
Yeah.
I'll read it to you. I've just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming, this was the woman documenting it, was obviously a professional agitator. Or she was a woman who was fucking horrified that ICE officers were stopping cars in the middle of her street trying to arrest her fucking neighbors. Probably that. The woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, then who violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. That never happened. That didn't happen. You just watch the fucking video. Can we watch it again?
Well, there's 2 videos. You know, he's added a video to his statement here, and I wonder if we should watch that one because I
wonder if they put AI in there where there's like,
I question everything we're about to see. I don't think we can take anything off the
table. Can you play it?
Here. Yeah, no, it's a different format. So it's going to seem a little truncated here, but let's just see what we've got here. They've slowed it down, and who knows what else they've done, but they've slowed it right down.
Oh, there's no ICE officer getting run over.
Well,
that is an angle after the shooting doesn't show the shooting, so it doesn't show the cop, number one. Number two, no one got fucking run over. That's what he's saying here. He's saying a fucking ICE officer got run over. Let me read this to you again.
There's an officer in front of it. I'm going to try to pull this up full screen just so we can see it closely. There is someone in front of that. I don't know if this is going to help us in this angle here. Let's try this. This is, typical narrative manipulation of the cover flare. I can't show it to you in another way. Maybe this way. Maybe this will get it for us. I don't know. Is that someone in front of it? I can't see properly. It looks
No,
like
there's no one. Dude, there's no one in front of the car.
Yeah.
There's no one there. No one got run over. An ICE agent didn't get run over. A kid didn't get run over. A dog, a fucking chocolate wrapper, an errant shoe in the middle of the road. Nothing got run over. She got shot as she was trying to drive away when one of the ICE officers told her to beat it. After she got shot, she drives right into that tree and right behind the other car. Then no one got run over.
Yeah, let's take a look
Nobody
at the
got
other.
fucking run
Let's
over.
take a look at the other angle that we have. So there is an ICE agent that's in front of the car as she's pulling out, and he pulls around the corner there. So he gets
That's
away.
the guy that shot her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, there was an ICE agent in the way there, but
He
was
didn't
not
get run
ramming
over.
her.
He said the guy. Fuck, if he got run over, he can't shoot her.
Yeah. This is typical Trump administration bullshit. You don't do this, regardless. You just don't do this. You don't. This is not how you handle.
So we just watched that in real time from two different angles, including the bullshit angle that he put up.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't show anything, which is why he put it up, because you can ask questions about that clip because you can't see what goes on. Yeah. But in the clip that we just watched, you get a full 360 of what happened. No one got run over. ICE officer just shoots the woman in the fucking head 4 times. Let me read his tweet again.
Yeah.
I've just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is a horrible thing to watch. No, it's not. You fucking loved it. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator. The woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing, resisting, then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. That is okay.
That's not what happened.
That's not what fucking happened at all. We fucking believe your eyes, people. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive. It was a she, but is now recovering in the hospital. She's fucking dead.
I think he means the ICE officer.
Oh, no, he's fucking, dude, he was walking around afterwards and was the guy that got hustled into a van. I watched that video.
Isn't he the one who shot?
Yeah. He shot. He didn't get run over. He shot her. He's fine.
He's
it's
in
a fucking
hospital.
lie.
I don't know why he's in hospital.
Well, that's a lie.
Yeah.
The situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers, ICE agents on a daily basis. They're just trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers.
Colonel Bogojevic of the Minnesota State Patrol. This morning, we learned that an ICE officer shot and killed someone in Minneapolis. My deepest condolences to the family, to the loved ones who had to learn about this tragic event on national television. We have been warning for weeks that the Trump administration's dangerous, sensationalized operations are a threat to our public safety, that someone was going to get hurt. Just yesterday, I said exactly that. What we're seeing is the consequences of governance designed to generate fear, headlines, and conflict. It's governing by reality TV, and today that recklessness cost someone their life. I've reached out to Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and I'm waiting to hear back. Let me be clear, Donald Trump and his administration may not care much about Minnesota. That's been pretty evident, but we love this state. We won't let them tear us apart. We'll not turn against each other. To Minnesotans, I say this, I feel your anger. I'm angry. They want a show. We can't give it to them. We cannot. If you protest and express your First Amendment rights, please do so peacefully as you always do. We can't give them what they want. The hearts and minds of the people in this state are on our side. To Americans, I ask you this, please stand with Minneapolis. To Minnesotans, know that our administration is going to stop at nothing to seek accountability and justice. The State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension are working on the investigation. We have activated the State Emergency Operations Center. State Patrol and Minnesota National Guard leadership is connected with the Minneapolis Police Department, the St. Paul Police Department, Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, the DNR, and Minnesota's Homeland Security and Emergency Management. We have activated dozens of members of the State Patrol's mobile response team. And from here on, I have a very simple message. We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. There's nothing more important than Minnesotan safety. I've issued a warning order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community, they're business owners, they're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait. We will continue to update you, Minnesota, as we get more information. Now I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Bob Jacobson of the Minnesota Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Governor. As the Governor mentioned, my name is Bob Jacobson. It is my honor to serve as the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. First of all, I want to acknowledge the reason that we are all here. The loss of life is not anything anyone would ever want. We fully expect that the community will want to peacefully demonstrate their anger or frustration. Minnesota residents and visitors have the right to peacefully demonstrate. We recognize that demonstrations are often driven by strong emotions, beliefs, and certainly a desire to be heard. Our role is to help ensure everyone can express themselves without anyone getting hurt. The Minnesota Department of Public Safety's role through the Minnesota State Patrol is to ensure safety, protect constitutional rights, keep roads accessible, and above all, to prevent harm. Our top priority is public safety. Our focus is keeping demonstrators, community members, drivers, and law enforcement safe, especially during moments of heightened tension or uncertainty. Demonstrations must remain safe and lawful, particularly around roadways. We will join with our partners to support safety while respecting the right to protest. With that in mind, I'd like to share a few safe and lawful ways to demonstrate. Minnesotans can safely and legally express their views in many ways, including getting together peacefully with others in public spaces, marching or walking, not on roadways, making your voice heard through chants, speeches, and displaying signs, being present in public areas where pedestrians are allowed, gathering in designated or permitted areas, and these actions will allow people to express themselves while protecting the safety of everyone involved. Unsafe or illegal actions could result in fines or arrests. Certain behaviors create serious hazards that threaten public safety, disrupt emergency services, or put people at risk. These actions could result in fines or arrest. Demonstrating on or entering a freeway on foot, walking on highways, throwing objects, starting or setting fires, damaging property or graffiti, using illegal fireworks, displaying or using illegal weapons, reckless or dangerous driving, especially near pedestrians, and certainly assaultive, aggressive, or riotous behavior toward anyone. We all want definitive answers to what happened today. Our Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is working in conjunction with the FBI to investigate this morning's shooting. As you know, we don't comment on active investigations, but also keep in mind that this is an investigation is also in its infancy. So any speculation about what had happened would be just that. And we will not engage in speculation. With that, I will turn it back over to the Governor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'd be glad to take any questions.
What do you mean when you say that the National Guard are ready?
Yeah, and I can let General Schaefer talk about this. It so happens it's a training weekend. We've got about 7,500 troops in training at our sites, training sites across the state. What it is, and in the National Guard, you give a warning order, which is a heads up of something could be coming. That just allows people to think about what they would need, what it would mean to mobilize, what it would mean to put them in. And I could let the general talk a little bit about this. Obviously, since the summer of 2020, we had a lot of work done on teams being ready to make sure that civil unrest. And what that means, and I think Commissioner Jacobson was very clear, and I want Minnesotans to hear this from me, the desire to get out and protest and to speak up to this administration of how wrong this is, that is a patriotic duty at this point in time, but it needs to be done safely. And I think the commissioner simply just laid out some of those parameters. We can do that. This is the peaceful resistance that we need. Simon, you want to say a few things about what that means to have them on the ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Governor. So for the military, Minnesota National Guard is comprised of 13,000 soldiers and airmen. We live all across and work throughout Minnesota. A warning order is just an initial step to increase your preparations. The Minnesota Guard is always prepared to respond and support state agencies and the citizens of Minnesota. So what that means for us today is just some additional checks on equipment that is ready at all times, and maybe some additional phone calls to service members who might be activated, but no activations. We are embedded with our state agencies here at the Operations Center to just continue parallel planning in the event that we are needed to support.
Thanks, General. And I would make note, Mary, and to Minnesotans on this about the National Guard, they're there to protect you and protect your constitutional rights. These are our neighbors. They don't wear masks. They don't bust in from somewhere else. They're not here to cause hassles to you or what we saw today, the tragedy. Having them at the ready to make sure, because when we see these types of things happen, and we saw it after the murder of George Floyd, there's folks that want to cause chaos. There's the disruptors in it. And while the vast majority of those protests were peaceful expressions of their First Amendment rights, there were those that destroyed property and put people at risk. The National Guard is there to make sure that peaceful protests are able to be done, and that those that want to do the destruction are stopped from doing that. Yes?
What is your threshold for activating the National Guard? You're talking about large-scale demonstrations,
Yeah.
but the demonstrations at these ice radios have been increasing in tension to the point where we saw a woman shot today.
Yeah, and I think apparently by a federal agent, not by Minnesotans who were there to express their First Amendment rights. I think we've seen this to have folks ready. The gatherings that were down there today, I think this shocked everyone. People showed up as they should. There's people putting flowers down on a memorial. There's people expressing their anger. It's just as these situations develop, we decide when we need to move these people out. And I think the local reporters know well on this, both unfortunately and for us, the upside of this is that we're very good and we've had practice at this. And I just want to, again, implore Minnesotans, I am not telling you not to express your anger or your frustrations or the outrage that we have. Look, this was totally predictable, as I said it yesterday, and it was totally reporters know well on this, both unfortunately and for us, the upside of this is that we're very good and we've had practice at this. And I just want to, again, implore Minnesotans, I am not telling you not to express your anger or your frustrations or the outrage that we have. Look, this was totally predictable, as I said it yesterday, and it was totally avoidable. And I just want to remind you, too, that local law enforcement, we get no coordination. They don't tell us they're coming. They don't say why they're sending the largest deployment in American history to Minneapolis. They're not making us any safer. We don't have any of that coordination. They should be talking to us when we do these things. Let us know. We're going to be down here. This is going to happen. We don't have that. So when you see local law enforcement or state patrol, or if it would take the National Guard, we're there responding to the chaos they've created too, but our role is to make sure that we're protecting Minnesotans so that something like this doesn't happen. I have not. The question was, have I spoken to the individual's family? No, we do not have a definitive ID on this individual. And I look, I'm going to note to all of you, I think it's really important, and the professionals do this, and they train me to do this. This is an open investigation. You need to be very careful about it. I know that many of you, myself included, have seen a a very difficult video to watch, one where there's a family member watched their family member be shot and killed in front of them. It's beyond me that apparently from the federal government, from the Homeland Security Director herself, has already determined who this person was, what their motive was, and they hadn't even been taken out of the vehicle. We're not living in a normal world. And so, no, I have not. And I want to be very careful because I know how painful this is. I know how painful it is right now. I'm saying person and all that. This is a human being. This very well is an individual's child, a parent, and we don't know that yet. So, no, I have not. But once we do, we will. So, yes. Please. Colonel, would you like to do that? Colonel.
So the governor was mentioning mobilizing more of the state patrol. How many state patrol people are on the ground in Minneapolis right now? And should there have been more state patrol people on the ground like a couple of weeks ago when I came?
So the question was, how many state patrol troopers have been deployed to the city of Minneapolis? Right now, we don't talk typical numbers because that is considered security information. We do have a specialized team that does deal with crowd control, and so they have been deployed. But again, they are from all over the state of Minnesota, so they will come in tiers to the state.
And they had already been on the ground to some extent before that?
No, it was in response to this event.
One more. Sorry, just to clarify the intention of deploying National Guard, is there any chance that the National Guard will be deployed against federal agents to protect Minnesotans?
I'm sorry. What was it?
National Guard, was the National Guard ever deployed against federal agents to protect Minnesotans, given the context of what happened earlier today?
Well, I said this yesterday. We've never been at war with our federal government. I think in this case that the National Guard is their main mission. They have a dual mission. There's the federal mission when they're under Title 10 orders, and then they're under Title 32 orders. In this warning order, there's nothing officially been done yet. If I am to activate them as the Commander-in-Chief of the Minnesota National Guard, I will issue the executive order to the Minnesota National Guard, and then they will be put in state duty status. And as you've seen over the last few years, that could be flood prevention, that could be after a wind-blowing storm up in the north, up in Bemidji, or it could be COVID or George Floyd response. In this case, again, it doesn't necessarily change the mission. They're there to protect Minnesotans. They're there to serve Minnesotans. I think the thing that is so challenging in the moment we're in is we don't see a desire to work with us on public safety. We hear a demonization of our state. We see people coming in who don't know our community, and we see this massive display for the TVs that we're trying to understand how is this coordinated. And some of you watch the videos on there, total chaos. And look, I have very limited work in this is the training in the National Guard, but I've had a lot of training now to watch how our professionals operate. After this person was shot, federal agents milling around, touching the vehicle at a crime scene and things. I don't know what to tell you, and I don't quite know how to respond to the question other than my primary responsibility as governor is the protection of the people of Minnesota. And you can be assured whether it's the State Patrol or whether it's the National Guard, their deployment is there to protect Minnesotans from whatever it is. If it's an act of nature, if it's a global pandemic, or in this case, if it is a rogue federal agent. I don't know at this time, and I want to be very careful. It's unprecedented that we have the federal government's already determined exactly what's happened here and the motives of an individual that we don't even know the name. They don't know the name, and that's very difficult. So, well, one more, Dana. Dana. Look, and I understand the uniqueness of this moment in this week, following this week, seeing what's happening in the backdrop of a show hearing in D.C. My job is to govern, and my job is to see what the facts are. this happened a couple of hours ago, and we're already pitting American against American. All of you saw a video in your eyes. We have a chaotic situation caused by the largest deployment in American history of federal agents into a community with no communication to locals. We had a chaotic situation where an individual is in their car, shot and killed. And so, look, I want to be very cautious here because Donald Trump will make this about me. He will make this about politics. This is about public safety, and this is about normalcy. To Americans who are watching this, if you're in Portland or you're in LA or you're in Chicago or you're wherever they're coming next, stand with us. Stand with us against this. This was so preventable, so unnecessary, and I don't know. I hope. Maybe we're at the McCarthy moment. Do you have no decency? Do you have no decency? We have someone dead in their car for no reason whatsoever. And I don't want to be right about this, but I said if they do this, they're going to create a chaotic situation where someone innocent's going to get killed. And they did it. And now we hear more political rhetoric. Enough. Enough is enough. And so to Minnesotans, don't take the bait. Do not take the bait. Do not allow them to deploy federal troops into here. Do not allow them to invoke the Insurrection Act. Do not allow them to declare martial law. Do not allow them to lie about the security and the decency of this state. And let's let this investigation play itself out. Let's make sure we protect our neighbors. I encourage you to use your First Amendment rights and all of your constitutional rights, but do so in a peaceful manner. We'll gather back with you as soon as we gather more information that needs to be put out. But again, stay safe, Minnesotans, and we'll be back with you.
Governor Tim Walz addressing the media and talking to his state there, calling in 13,000 National Guards, state National Guards, I should put it, and to help with the situation of what will surely be after sunset, a very difficult situation in Minneapolis as people go out to protest, as they are encouraged to do by the minister there, by the governor there. They're encouraging that protest. They're saying peaceful protest is welcomed, but there'll be anger in the streets of Minneapolis tonight, you can rest assured. And there will also be a lot of angry there'll be protesters, but also federal officials, agents of ICE on the streets. Who knows? That kind of mix can be very toxic. You know, we've seen it before during the George Floyd unrest that happened. There were people inside those crowds who were provocateurs, who killed people, who inflamed violence, who in some cases torched buildings. That does not mean that it's being lit or improvoked by anybody who is opposed to the Trump regime, but they will make it seem like that. So there is a real risk of agent provocateurs in this environment. We've seen it before. I remember this so clearly from the George Floyd coverage. We were there, we covered it all. This is the kind of situation Donald Trump is waiting for. And what Governor Walz said at the end there about the Insurrection Act is critical, because this is what he needs. You know, yesterday, I think, Dean, you pointed us to these clips of him worrying about impeachment, about losing the next elections, about maybe not having the next elections. Well, what he needs for that is a reason to call the Insurrection Act, is a reason to declare martial law. And then he can start moving his people into various locations, canceling elections, doing all sorts of terrible things. That is the game that they are playing. And if you don't believe that that's what they're doing, you're misguided and you haven't been paying attention, because every terrible thing that we thought that they would do, they've been doing in the last year. And your microphone's not on, Dean. I don't think your mic's on. Oh, maybe it's me. Hang on. There you go.
Oh, is it me?
No,
Can you hear me?
You're up now.
You got me? There you go. Well said. As always, you have a way of being able to kind of street the whole thing for people to understand it. Listen, Governor Walz putting the Minnesota National Guard on alert to protect the people, that is as close to, going to war with the federal government as you'll find. And he mentioned that, I've never been to war with the federal government before. Right after he talked about employing the National Guard. To his point, these are doctors, dentists, teachers, people from your community that, on weekends they go and get ready and they shoot guns and they get training on how to do. Yeah, the people that love their country and want to protect it, want to protect their communities, and are willing to sacrifice and volunteer their time for the military to do that. This is setting up to be where Donald Trump meets reality, where the Trump regime finally meets resistance. And as incredibly sad as that video is and what we saw, this could be the impetus. And I loved how Governor Walz really managed his emotions there. I loved how he was very professional, but I also loved how he said, hey, listen, we need to put the National Guard on alert for state duty. That state duty is to protect Minnesotans from that. You're allowed to protest peacefully. You're allowed to be a watchful observer. You're allowed to do those things. Your democratic right, First Amendment right. Woman got shot in the face today by an ICE agent because Donald Trump and ICE do not believe in your First Amendment rights. Well, members of the community, specifically that community that serve in the National Guard, they absolutely believe it. And they're just as disgusted. If you talk to any National Guard members that have been deployed in their own communities, they're disgusted by it. They hate it. Malcolm Nance will tell you that. Ken Harbaugh will tell you that. They work with these vets. They work with these groups. They try to educate these people that are being co-opted as the National Guard. Well, the National Guard, I can tell you this. The National Guard fucking hates Donald Trump. They absolutely do. Members of the National Guard hate Donald Trump. Those people are not professional soldiers. They're weekend soldiers that are on standby 24/7 to be able to help their communities because they love their communities. They love their neighbors. They love their people. That is the difference between the National Guard and the military. That's the difference between the National Guard and ICE. ICE doesn't love anybody. They're just a whole bunch of Proud Boys, oath keepers, and criminals that have bypassed any kind of vetting to go and play shoot 'em up, bang bang in the streets of the United States of America because they're gun happy, fucking low IQ, fucking racist assholes. That's what they are.
Yeah.
So
they're terrorizing American citizens. I mean, they're terrorizing the citizens. This is the federal government terrorizing Americans in their cities, in suburban cities just like the ones you live in. A woman who's potentially driving her kids to work, and I think he said that it was one of her kids or family members that was recording it, or at least yelling in that. I mean, this could be. I mean, think about how horrific a circumstance that is, where you got the president of the United States sending in ICE agents into a city to terrorize locals who are here legally in most cases, working and contributing to their society.
That was a white American born in America that he shot in the face.
Yeah.
Right there.
Who is driving away from a terrifying scene. I mean, no one would want to be with their kids anywhere near a scene like that, and certainly would not be getting out of their car in a scene like that. Surrounded by 3 ICE agents, one of them with a gun drawn, and she gets blamed for ramming. She's accused of ramming. She didn't
running him over. Trump's like he ran him over. Well, the guy that she ran over managed to get the fuck out of the way real quick and pop her in the head 4 times with his gun.
Yeah.
Does it, and then you watch the video of him walking away after, right? Here he is walking away. Watch the video of him walking away.
Yeah.
Guess what? Not injured.
He's not injured.
Lied about that in his Truth Social tweet. The alternative reality, we talk about this all the time, just the straight up pathological lies that are coming out of the White House now, whether it's Maduro, whether it's ICE, whether it's immigration, whether it's the economy. Boy, oh fucking boy, ladies and gentlemen, you live in a sim. And if you don't live in a sim, good for you, because you're paying attention to the right people, the right things. You're not watching CBS. You're not watching Fox. You're not watching OAN. You're not watching Newsmax. You're probably not watching mainstream media. You're probably watching people like us. That's why we exist, so that we can tell you the truth about these things and break them down in real time. This happened today. We already have 2 confirmed, verified, completely made up fucking lies and stories from the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Christy Cosplay Cowboy Gnome, who likes to shoot dogs in the face on weekends. And then we had another lie from Donald Trump that is nuclear. I want to read this to you again, because it is hard to explain after watching these videos what exactly it is that Donald Trump, specifically Donald J. Trump, thinks we're fucking foolish. Does he think we're idiots? Does he think we're dumb?
Does he think
that
He thinks some people are going to believe this crap. That's what he does. He actually believes that. And some people will believe his crap. If you're eating the diet of Fox News and even CBS News, which ran a headline earlier on about a legitimately saying that someone was ramming an ICE agent. This was their headline on Barry Weiss's CBS News.
Dude, that's why they bought it. So they could launder lies. They could murder people and tell everybody it was the fucking victim's fault. I'm going to read this to you again. Watch these videos. I'll read this to you. This is Trump's tweet, Truth Social tweet. Just viewed the clip of the event, which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming, obviously a professional agitator. The woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing, resisting, who violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. Completely debunked. You're fucking watching it. Who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Based on the attached clip, it's hard to believe he's alive. Like you say, I can't believe the guy's alive. Fucking shot her 4 times and walked away. Of course he's alive.
Concern for the woman who was just killed.
None. Zero.
A mom.
None. Just said it was hard to watch. Zero concern for her, just the ICE officer. The situation's being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening because of the radical left. There you go. Place it at their feet again. Threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers, ICE agents on a daily basis. That is why Kristi Noem, literally in her first press conference this morning in a fucking cowboy hat, labeled this woman that her agent shot in the head 4 times a domestic terrorist in her car. In her car. And to Governor Walz's whole perspective, he's like, we don't even, like, how do they know what the motive of the shooting was?
Don't even have the
how do they know
identity.
that the woman was an agitator? How do they know? Because we don't know.
Yeah.
And they fucked up the crime scene, touching it, laughing. Apparently, I've just read something here that officers were milling around, ICE officers laughing, saying good shot to the guy because he shot her in the head 4 times.
Which, the culture amongst these ICE officials is exactly that. That is exactly the kind of bravado, this like sort of frat boy, crazy, gamer. I don't know what kind of culture that is that they've developed inside this ICE world. I mean, they are thugs mandated by
it's low IQ, hillbilly MO.
Yeah, the worst of the worst of the worst of
the dumbest Americans, the least educated Americans, the most hardcore, uneducated, religious extremists, or just country bumfucks, right? Just the fucking guys that live in a trailer who have nothing. They're complete victims, and they're like, I failed my security guard exam. I'm gonna go apply for ICE. They're like, hey.
So I'm just curious what's going on here with the unseen reporter.
Probably, maybe he wanted to shoot her.
Yeah,
that's like a culture in ICE that's like toxicity.
I'm not for sure. I don't want to, just go off the hinge with it, but it's just. I know when you're trying to provoke someone, or you just trying to be doing too much, just doing too much.
Mr. Bentley, do you mind breaking down what exactly you saw this morning?
Basically, ladies trying to warn everyone ICE is in the neighborhood. Just letting them know, hey, and telling ICE, hey, you're destroying families, whatnot. Stop doing this. Hey, get out of here. Stop that. She reversed so traffic can go by. The pickup truck, gray pickup truck, officer ICE got out and was telling her, hey, didn't tell her anything really, just telling her I'm going to open up your door and I'm going to get you out. And that's when the shooting happened, and the car took off and then it sped off and crashed right into the cars.
Can you talk about the agent that was stepped in front of the car?
The way he was in the clear. There was another one at the front part of the car on the driver's side, and there's one right there by the door that's opening, trying to get in the door. Then you have one that's in front of the car that was already coming from the side, and he was just getting clear because he already see that, hey, this person could take off. But, maybe I'll try to, intimidate you with my gun. But I don't think the lady was looking that way towards the front because she's worried about this.
Someone's trying to get in her door. And
she's 65 years old. I mean, she's probably scared. She's trying to help out and is scared at the same time.
And Mr. Bentley, DHS is calling this domestic terrorism. They're saying that the officer shot in self-defense. Does that match up with what you saw this morning?
I have no comment on that. I just can only tell you what I seen, and that's it. That's it. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not None of that. I don't know the law like that, but I just know that. Then I seen what I seen. I didn't, I just felt like the officer shouldn't have shot the gun. That's all. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Bentley. And Nicole, what we've seen since this incident is two very different reactions. We've seen as immigration, as Border Patrol, as law enforcement was leaving the scene, confrontations between protesters and those federal agents. We saw a lot of tear gas fired. We saw canisters, one of which I picked up, protesters crying with their eyes in serious pain. And we've seen those protests, which escalated in tension, move away from this scene of where this woman was shot. Separately, you're seeing what you see right now, Nicole, which is Minneapolis community members planting flowers, commemorating the 37-year-old woman who lost her life. Still raw from the murder of George Floyd, which happened but 0.4 miles from this very spot about 5 years ago. Nicole?
Alex, I want you to keep going, but let me just introduce this account from the Minneapolis chief of police, and I'll have you pick it up on the other side. This is what he said transpired, quote, "The preliminary information that we have indicates that this woman was in her vehicle and was blocking the roadway on Portland Avenue midway between 33rd Street and 34th Street in the city. At some point, a federal law enforcement officer approached her on foot and the vehicle began to drive off. At least 2 shots were fired. The vehicle then crashed on the side of the roadway. Minneapolis police officers secured the crime scene and assisted in trying to preserve the evidence that is there. We have since turned over the scene both to the Federal Bureau of Investigation as well as the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which will be conducting an investigation into this use of deadly force." That's local law enforcement. The Secretary of Homeland Security called it domestic terrorism and seemed to speak as though she had all the facts. Stephen Miller has tweeted a similar narrative that seems conclusive in terms of what they believe happened. Donald Trump has done the same. Is it your sense that the state and local investigative actions are the only investigations into what has happened today, or do you have any information that suggests anyone else is investigating the facts and talking to people like Eugene Bentley, who witnessed the shooting and the killing?
Well, Nicole, what I can tell you is that the state and local law enforcement account that you just read out there matches in many ways our experience here. Now, of course, we arrived on the scene about 20 to 30 minutes after the first report of this incident from an ICE verifier. But we can say pretty clearly that this woman was shot in the front seat of her car based on the fact that there's an image that I will never be able to get out of my head of blood spattered on an airbag. We can say pretty definitively that the car was stuck there for a very long period of time. I do remember seeing the Federal Bureau of Investigation agents taking photos of the crime scene before the car was towed. So that might indicate that there is some level of investigation from the federal government, but much more than that, Nicole, given that we were here in the half hour after this transpired, I can't say definitively one way or the other. Nicole?
I want to thank you for all your reporting. I want to ask you to stick around as long as you can if you need to go do more reporting.
All right, let's drop out of that. Oh boy. Sorry, I think you're out of. I've turned you off accidentally. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, you're back there now.
There you go. Hi.
Yeah. Oh boy, I just think about this reporter. He's new, by the way, at MS Now, and he's doing a great job out there. And he's talking about the image he could never get out of his mind. And I remember, not to interject my experience or anything in the story, but I remember covering a story just like that in South Africa as a really young reporter. And the minute he said that, it immediately took me back there. It's like it's an image he's never going to get out of his mind. because you can't ever explain what that looks like and feels like, and the world just slows down, and there's nothing you can do. And it's heartbreaking that America is going through this. It's heartbreaking that America is experiencing the kind of swelling up of violence that South Africa did, post-apartheid. This is the same kind of game that people are playing with people's lives. This administration is playing with people's lives. They know exactly what they're doing. They're, putting out these fake narratives. They're lying to everybody. They're manipulating the truth and manipulating reality. But they really don't care about the people they're governing at all. They just want to.
No.
They just want to. They're happy to kill him. Happy to kill him.
Yeah, they like this. Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, J.D. Vance loves this. They love the fact that a 37-year-old woman trying to protect her neighbors got shot in the head today just for trying to protect her neighbors. She didn't do anything wrong. Didn't commit a crime. Not an agitator. She was a legal observer trying to help her community. Donald Trump probably watched that video and clapped. Yeah. Kristi Noem probably hasn't watched the video, won't watch the video. She's just here to fucking buffer the lie. And a guy like Stephen Miller, he doesn't fucking care who gets killed as long as he's in charge. You're being hoodwinked. You're being lied to. You are having your history, reality, legality, consequences, literally having all of those things taken away from you right now, and you're watching it. America, you're watching it. You're watching it. You're watching evil win. You're watching murderers get rewarded for murdering just to create an atmosphere of fear around the United States of America. And Tim Walz said it best today. He goes, don't feed into it. Don't give them what they want. They want martial law. They want to start mass protests.
Yeah.
This will start mass protests. They want that. They want looting. And they want to be able to say, I told you so. But what they will never do is be accountable for any of the crimes that they commit. And they committed this crime. They made it entirely possible. In fact, encouraged ICE agents to shoot a 37-year-old white woman in the head just for trying to block the road so she could protect her neighbors. Completely legal. You're totally allowed to do this. There's the ICE agent shooting her in the head a couple of times. Clear of the vehicle. They lied about running him over, lied about sending him to the hospital, lied about them ramming him. Kristi Noem lied about ICE officers getting stuck in the snow, lied. Yeah. It was a 37-year-old woman who felt a duty to warn her neighbors that ICE agents were on the way, and she didn't want any trouble in her neighborhood. And what did she get for it? Shot in the fucking face twice. Murdered.
And, that eyewitness who basically backed up the story that we're all seeing with our very eyes. I mean, we've all seen this video. It certainly looks like that person in front of the car, the ICE agent who was in front of the car, was clear of the car. That's exactly the words that were used by this eyewitness, that eyewitness had cleared, and that she was most distressed about the fact that some other agent, an ICE agent, was trying to open her car. I mean, just think about being a mom in that situation, surrounded by ICE agents.
Some masked dude with a gun tries to fucking haul you out of your car. What are you going to do?
And
you fucking drive away. You
know exactly who they are. You're there to warn people about these thugs, and these thugs are surrounding you. Of course, you're going to drive away. Any mom would drive away. Anyone would drive away. But a mom looking after her kids, of course they're driving away, because these people are not equipped to handle the situation. They've been sent into cities without any training. They don't know what to do in this situation. What they did, surrounding this poor woman's car, trying to open the car and do what? Drag her out of the car? How many videos have we seen of these ICE thugs taking immigrants and breaking windows and pulling them out of car and trampling on them, beating them up? So many videos.
Dude, not even immigrants.
Yeah, not even.
People in America, Americans, legals.
And so she's acting completely normally, of course. And the fact that the president of the United States is not even mourning her loss, the president of the United States is busy accusing her of committing a crime, of being a domestic terrorist. She's not a domestic terrorist. This is not a domestic terrorist. This is not a criminal. This is not this is a citizen of the United States doing what every citizen should be doing, looking after their community, warning people about danger that's coming in their community, and fighting the horrific, fascist government that is busy, deploying what appears to be like a Gestapo force into the American cities in order to do an insurrection act and a martial law, and mirror the same kind of violence we had 5 years ago with George Floyd. We're going to go through another spring and summer of that, because this administration wants that. They want the unruliness, because you know what it'll mean? Next November during the elections, they can play the "we'll keep you safe" card. There'll be more of this throughout the summer, just as there was during the summer of George Floyd. There'll be people who are going to kill people. There'll be unruliness. There'll be all sorts of flare-ups in every city in America. Why? Because they want to arrive next November into a country under chaos, so they can then say, hey, we'll control everything. We're going to go in. We're going to keep everything safe. Remember this moment when we get there, because this moment is going to seem like very far distant history. But this is the moment that they started this. This is what they want. They want a summer of total violence. That's how they're going to ensure their re-election next November.
Well said. Well said. And in Americans, specifically in the great state of Minneapolis, God, I love you. I've partied in St. Paul several times. Greatest party city in America. And wonderful people. Wonderful people. Really close to Canada, obviously, Minneapolis, Minnesota, just underneath Manitoba, Saskatchewan, etc. Stay safe. Don't give it away. Don't give them what they want. Protest responsibly, but be relentless for yourself, your safety, and your neighbors. And the lie will end with this. The big lie that Donald Trump tries to tell people, and you touched on it earlier, Zev, is that he is the only person that's going to keep America safe.
Yeah.
We just watched several videos of Donald Trump sanctioning the death of an American citizen, the execution of an American citizen. That is not the sign of a president that's going to keep you safe. None of this happened when Biden was president. None of it. None of it. ICE agents didn't shoot anybody. They went around and did the work that was supposed to be done for the United States of America. Now they've been co-opted to be brown shirts. Those ICE brown shirts are now killing Americans. And to Zev's point, it's all to foment an environment in the United States that is so chaotic, Donald Trump will have no choice but to declare martial law ahead of the 2026 midterms. This is the beginning. And to your point, this will be the flashpoint. This will be the moment that I think everybody needs to keep in mind as Donald Trump continues to lie and ramp up rhetoric, not mourn the death of people that he is completely 100% culpable in killing, just using them as props in his war against the American people. So, heads on a swivel, America. Today was another shitty day.
To say a couple of more things. You said that beautifully and brilliantly, so there's not much to add, except I will say, again, this will be a distraction for the things that we want to know a lot about, the Epstein files. This will be a distraction for the fact that they're taking away healthcare coverage from millions of Americans. This will be a distraction for what they just did in Venezuela, which is a corporate oil takeover of a sovereign state. This is going to, and for their own profit, by the way, their own profiteering. And they will continue to let this fire burn because it'll help keep that distraction. And that's why you got to be very careful out there tonight. Everyone should be not give in to the chaos. Protest peacefully. And I'll leave you with the Minneapolis mayor, who was brilliant today. Young mayor, 37.
Mayor Frey.
Yeah, Mayor Frey. Beautiful leadership moment for him as he told everyone his hopes and expectations for the city tonight. And Dean, thank you for being here as always. We find ourselves in the most remarkable situations sometimes. And we should just point out that the views we're giving here are obviously not the views that you're getting on the mainstream television. This sounds self-serving, but it isn't. It's important that you share this content. It's important that you share the work that we're doing to expose the lies of this administration. It's our mission, it's our passion, but it's also needs to get out to a lot more people, because a lot more people need to understand what is happening in America today. And you're not going to get it on the state-run legacy media that is, currently telling you lies about what's going on. So we appreciate all your support. We appreciate you for being here. And please share this content from both deanbundell.substack.com and narrative.org. And Dean, we'll see you tomorrow. Here's Mayor Frey.
Look, we all know that the agenda of this Trump administration is to create chaos. Let us respond right now with our best versions of self. This is a moment where all of us in Minneapolis and beyond, we can rise to the occasion. We can show them who we are. We can show them the kind of courage, bravery, love, and compassion that makes Minneapolis, Minneapolis, and that makes America, America. We are better than a bunch of ICE agents being deployed to cities around the country and ripping apart families and communities. We're better than that. And so we are going to meet that hate with love. We are going to meet that despair with hope. We are going to meet that injustice with constitutional justice ourselves. And we're going to make sure that in this very difficult moment, we do not take the bait that these ICE agents are trying to create and that the federal government, to be clear, wants. They want us to respond in a way that creates a military occupation in our city. They want an excuse to come in and show the kind of force that will create more chaos and more despair. Let's not let them. Let's rise to this occasion. Let's show them something far more beautiful than the kind of division that they're trying to stoke. Look, we all know that the agenda of this Trump administration is to create chaos.